talking about that willful ignorance and how you've kind of been through your travels in corporate and everything that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel in all those different areas? What were some of the common core things that you saw in individuals that had this conditioning that brought them to this willful ignorance? What were some of the common themes that you saw in all those different areas?
Yeah, I think let's define.
We're
Willful.
defining
Okay,
things.
this is the only time
We're
I'm going
defining
to.
willful ignorance. I would think people would just automatically know what that is.
I would think so, but I actually Googled it this morning because I was like, I'm
Oh,
going to look
Lord.
up the actual definitions. So ignorance is lack of knowledge or information.
Okay.
And so, in my opinion, when we think about leaders or we think about human beings in the diversity,
Mhm.
equity, inclusion space, I
Mhm.
think it's a lack of exposure.
Lack of exposure, experience.
Yeah. So if I haven't been exposed to a situation or something, then I probably have some ignorance there in my perspective.
Right.
I'm missing that perspective. And then willful definition, having or showing stubborn and determined intention to do as one wants, regardless of the consequences or effects.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, I think of it like the adult version of, I'm not listening, like children do. Like, I don't know and I don't really want to know.
Right. Now, we know from there,
Yeah.
we have to start with those things. We have those definitions.
Yeah.
We didn't make them up. They're there.
Yeah.
You got them in Google, Webster, Merriam's Dictionary, wherever. Like, those things are there, right?
Right.
So we have, within certain privileged guidelines, we have access to things of knowledge and things to help us grow and understand, right? So there is that, there, and we can grow in our ignorance, but the willfulness is no, because I like where I am. Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think what happens is that some people, due to a lack of exposure, knowledge, don't know. And when it is pointed out to them, their response is, I really don't care to know. Or, well, that person's being sensitive.
Yeah, it's always a deflection to the other.
Right. Like, and so to me, I think this is the most dangerous part of a lack of inclusion. I think it's what fosters and perpetuates marginalization is this willful ignorance. And if the majority continue to sit in willful ignorance, then we'll never have movement of true inclusion.
No, we won't. And that's where it's so key to have the perspective, because I think we've always kind of lived under this idea, or at least I have, and many people like me, this idea that there is black, white, right, wrong. There is the truth.
Right.
The truth. And then there are just other stories. But there's like the truth thing. And what I've come to understand in perspective is that it is about each narrative of what brought someone to that point in their life. And that's authenticity to me. And so, but it's so difficult for people to want to see that other side, because we have this rightness that we want to protect.
Yeah. And I think it's hard for people to understand things aren't, in my opinion, or it's not this or that. It's usually this and that.
Yeah.
And so when we're listening to people's perspective on a situation, I mean, each person's truth is their own, but, the reality is usually the and, not the or, but we get drawn into these polarizations. It's this or that, not and. And that's hard. It's hard to find that common ground if people are stuck in the or.
Right. And then an offset of that would also be how willful ignorance is the conditioning brought up by stereotypes. And so therefore, without that experience or wanting to be exposed to that experience, we don't meet other unrepresented or minority or people who just are different than us.
Right.
To grow a little more. So we just kind of stay stuck in it.